What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down a wide receiver football IQ quiz to test your knowledge of the position. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things, but also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver and you would like an 8-week daily gym and on-field workout schedule to follow, check out that very first link in the description below for our ultimate 8-week wide receiver workout plan. It's over 500 plus wide receiver drills, gym exercises with examples of each exercise and drill, and sets and reps all broken down for you to follow. So check out that very first link in the description below if you're interested, fellas. Let's get started with this video. So now, first example here. So if you're not familiar with our quiz style videos, how this is going to work is I'm going to show a pre-snap clip. I'm going to show a route. I'm going to ask you a series of questions about the pre-snap look, give you a chance to answer the questions by pausing the video, and then we're going to break this thing down and explain what the correct and wrong answer would be. Okay, so now, first example here. This is kind of a format that we don't normally do for our wide receiver quiz videos, so I hope you guys like this. Hope you guys learned something from this. So this first example, what coverage? Because again, playing the wide receiver position is not just about running routes, making people miss, catching the ball. You also have to be smart. You have to have a high football IQ. So first things first, what coverage does this specific play look like? So what coverage does this play look like? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answer. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So with this specific coverage, if you guys said cover 4, that would be incorrect. If you guys said cover 2, that would be incorrect. But if you guys said cover 0, that would be correct. That would be the correct answer, cover 0. So how do we know that's cover 0, and why the hell is that important for wide receivers to know? So we come out, we look at the formation here. We see that this is a 3x2 set, so that means it's an empty set, obviously. So empty set, one quarterback back there. Let's say, for example, you're the wide receiver on the top of the screen. So obviously it looks like man coverage, right? Obviously this looks like man coverage. Now, these two safeties here are rolled down. They're lined up maybe about, I would say, 7 yards away from the two slot wide receivers, but there is nobody back there. And it looks like man coverage across the board, and it looks like they're going to be bringing 6 guys in pressure. So usually that means that it is cover 0. Now, if it was zone coverage, again, one of these linebackers would be dropping. Maybe they wouldn't be showing like they were going to be bringing all 6 guys, and these safeties wouldn't be so tight. So that's how you guys can kind of identify that coverage. If it was cover 2, these safeties would be a little bit deeper, and these corners would probably be outside leverage, trying to force you inside to the safeties. If this was cover 4, these safeties would definitely be deeper. They'd be about the same level they are, I guess you could say, but they would definitely be deeper. They're a little bit too tight for it to be cover 4 and cover 2. And it looks like man coverage, and it looks like they're bringing pressure. That is a recipe for cover 0. No deep zones are covered, man across the board. Now, why is that important for a wide receiver to know? Why are we even talking about this? And the reason why we're talking about it is so you know what to do with that release. So let's say, for example, you're running a route, and let's say it's like a fade route. You're not going to do all these fancy hesitation moves off the line because we know the quarterback is getting pressure. They are bringing 6 guys, and he only has 5 to block 6. So that means he is getting this ball out of his hands right now. We need a quick release that's going to accomplish the same exact thing as we would do on a slower release, but we got to get up out of this route fast. So let's play this clip. I mean, this has nothing to do with the play. They end up running a screen, and they end up taking it to the house, but it is cover 0, and that's why it's important that wide receivers need to know that. Okay, so now, next example here. This is going to be a pre-snap look. This is our next question. So how would you guys run? So I want you guys to tell me what coverage this is, like what type of coverage this is. This is obviously man coverage, but what type of coverage it is, like what's this DB's leverage, what's the distance, all of that. What coverage is this, and how should you guys run a 10 to 12 yard dig route? So a dig, going 10 to 12, breaking in. How would you guys run a 10 to 12 yard dig route versus this type of coverage, and what is this type of coverage? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answer. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So the reason why I ask you guys both of these questions is because as a wide receiver, we talk about this in every single quiz video, pretty much every single video that we make. You got to have a pre-snap process. You can't come up to the line and just go run your route. You have to identify where the DB is, how close or how far he is, what's the type of coverage, and that's how you pick your plan. We get a million questions, probably a week, fella, not a million, but we get a lot of questions every single week on, Coach, how do I know when to use this press release? How do I pick a press release? This is how, what I am talking about right now. You You need a pre-snap process because that's what dictates what you can do. So we see that this DB is lined up inside shade. So if you guys said he's lined up inside leverage, that is correct. And if you said he is pressed up, that is correct. There's kind of a couple different forms of man coverage, right? You got off man where he's like 7 yards away. You got catch technique where he's like 3 to 5. And then you got pressed up right here, right? So you got press, catch, off man. Those are the 3 that you're looking for because that's what tells you how to pick your release. So if you guys said on a dig route, oh, you maybe want to attack him outside and take the inside release, that would be incorrect because remember, this DB's inside leverage. The whole reason we know, well, the whole reason it's important to know his leverage is so you know what release to take. He's inside leverage. His goal is to force you to that sideline and to take away the inside route. So our game plan should be, I'm going to attack him, make him think I'm going inside so he protects his leverage because that's his responsibility and take an outside release. My separation is going to come at the top of the break. Not off the line of scrimmage. So let's watch what this wide receiver does because this wide receiver does it incorrectly, but we have a positive example of it second. So he comes off and he forces the release. So you see how this DB is all over him, hands all over him. He's protecting his leverage. He's forcing him all the way to the inside, and he's able to make an easy PBU on this thing. You see how this wide receiver started on the red line, the bottom of the numbers, and he almost ended up running this dig on like the hash. That's where he almost ended up catching this thing because he forced the release. Guys, we have to maintain spacing on the play. Could you imagine if the play concept was, let's say this is the outside receiver, he has a 10 to 12 dig, and let's say this is the slot and he has to run a whip, but this dig got rerouted all the way to the inside. These routes are way too close together. That will never work in a real game scenario. You have to take what the DB gives us. So let's look at this second example here. We got the same type of coverage. Now again, let's go back to our pre-snap process. This is inside leverage. This is still man-to-man. This is still press, but you notice how this DB is a little bit further off than the last DB. So what do you think you got to do with your release? Rather than giving a quick jab and going outside, you got to probably close the distance a little bit. So let's watch what this wide receiver does. He attacks him, but he takes the outside release. So now he's not getting forced all the way to the inside. This DB doesn't have hands all over him. He's not disrupting the timing with the quarterback. And this wide receiver is able to stack over the top and run his dig with plenty of space to make this catch. Guys, that's how it should be. You got to have spacing on the play. It's okay if you catch it on the hash, but it's the timing of when you get to the hash. Is it going to time up with the quarterback's drop? Is the other receiver that's underneath going to be out of there by then? Or are you just going to get forced inside? Now, everybody's biggest fear is, well, what if I take this outside release, but this DB's right on my hip? I can't restack him. What do? You take this inside hand, you put it on the back of his shoulder, back of his hip, and you throw him by. You slip underneath him. You drop your hips, and you still got the same amount of room. Maybe the break wasn't as fast, but you gave the quarterback room. And that is what a quarterback needs. So let's play both of these full speed one more time. So if you guys said attack him inside, if you said inside shade press, that's first part correct. And if you said attack him inside, then take the outside release, that is the second part of that question, and that is correct. Okay, so now this is going to be kind of a more advanced question for you guys. So how would you guys run an under route? So a 5-yard under, that's essentially like a 5-yard in. However, there's a catch to this question. You are not a first read. You are not a second read. You are a backside read. So what does that do to your release? Okay, so how would you guys run a 5-yard under versus inside shade press coverage? And what do you need to do with your release if you are backside? You are a third read on the play or fourth read. Okay, so third or fourth read, backside, 5-yard under versus inside shade press, okay? Or just like a 5-yard in, if you will. Think of it also like a slant maybe. So how would you guys do that? So you guys can go ahead and pause the video and think about your answers. So pause the video. All right, let's break this thing down. So first things first, I kind of gave away the pre-snap process for you guys in the question, right? This DB's inside shade, he's press coverage, man-to-man, right? So if he's inside shade press coverage, his goal is to take away the inside. Do not let you run the 5-yard under. Do not give up the slant. Don't give up the post, right? Obviously. So his goal is to force you to the outside. Now, if you have to run a slant, it's a little bit different than the dig, right? Because if we had to run like a deep dig, or if you have to run a 5-yard under, a deep dig at like 10 to 12, you would attack him inside and take the outside release because you have 10 yards to go get over the top and stack and make something happen. On a 5-yard route, you only got 5 yards. So what you want to do is you want to try to attack his outside shoulder and his outside hip. Our goal is to get him to think that you are running a fade so you can slip underneath. Some people call that a diamond release. So let's play this full speed. Let's watch what this wide receiver does. He attacks, and then he bursts up to the outside, sells fade, and you see we get this DB to fully open up the gate, and we slip back underneath. Now, If that's what you guys said, that's correct. If you guys said diamond release, that's correct. But remember the catch to the question. You are a backside read. You are a third or fourth read on the play. So what does that mean? What does that exactly mean? That means that we can't be too fast with my read. So you see how what he does. He jabs, gives a little hesitation, and then he does the diamond release. He doesn't just do the diamond release right away. He hesitates, gets into the diamond release. That's what you guys want because that maintains timing on the play. If you're a first read, if you're running a slant, I don't recommend this release. Takes too long. But if you're backside, maybe it's an RPO, you're a later read on the play, absolutely add a hesitation element to your release. Maybe do a slide release. Something of that nature will time up with the play, will time up with the quarterback's drop so you don't get to the window too early and give that DB time to react. So if that's what you guys said, that would be correct. So let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job of that wide receiver hitting that hezzy move and then selling that diamond release to sell fade. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you would like an 8-week wide receiver on-field and gym workout schedule that you can follow, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to get you on that. I'll see you guys next time.